This is a podcast.
That ball is belted. Welcome in Carlos Gomez. Hello. Goodbye.
Oh man, yeah. We rockin' now for real. BS3 Sports. Okay, sports news, get it first when you're getting off of work. Even when you're at work, acting like you're working hard when you're hardly working. I'm a maverick like Dirk, getting Franklin's like Kirk. Hold up, boy. X-Squad, you don't know them boys? Being talking facts on every topic. Overall, we just talking noise, just being boys. Covering Texas sports in them tall hills. That with the fake pass over to Elliott. Better guard your grills like a car for real. Yeah, Cowboys gonna bring a bowl back, Lord, will it? Yeah, Mavericks gonna bring a ring back with Mark in it. We live sports, we talk sports, we dream sports, we eat sports. The teacher about to teach the course. Welcome to BS3 Sports. Gross. Oh man, yeah.
You are now tuned in to the BS3 Sports Show. And today we got a very special guest, X-Squad's very own Q the Great, co-owner of the Critical Dump Network, also host of the Choppin It Up with Q podcast, and co-host of the Talking 30 podcast. We'll be talking the weekend sports, NBA playoffs, and much more. So stay tuned. We're going to play a song by R. Swift, Angie Rose, and 1K Few called Hear Me. Then we get right into the show. Stay tuned.
Hear ye, hear ye, hey. Holla if you hear me. I can't have nobody fake near me. I can't have nobody fake near me. I got ammunition, you can hear me come. Soldier on a mission, you can hear me come. If you start to listen, you can hear me come. You can hear me come. I said hit the plug, I got a real. Haters tryna talk, you better speak up. Living with no problem, got my feet up. I got fan to feed, I tell them eat up. I got ammunition, you can hear me come. Soldier on a mission, you can hear me come. If you start to listen, you can hear me come. You can hear me come.
Yeah, listen closer so you know it's me. So in the speech, I never been slow to speak. Ain't even close to being over the peak. I'm at attention, so I'm cool if the penship don't get the honorable mentions. But as long as the people hear that we exceeded, they give them death and we kill what they feed them, so now we even. They say your man with a conscience can't sell a record. Just sell a little dope when you don't, and they'll accept it. The method has changed, but the same message. The new norm is to be better than what's expected. So excuse the sentiments if it's repetitive. I guess it's just my way of making sure it's all connected. Hit up, Benji, put it in motion. Leaders of the new school, they feel it when we approaching. The red beat, the people get hoping. This is what happens when you leave the soapbox out in the open. Golden.
Hear ye, hear ye, hey. Holla if you hear me. I can't have nobody fake near me. I can't have nobody fake near me. I got ammunition, you can hear me come. Soldier on a mission, you can hear me come. If you start to listen, you can hear me come. You can hear me come. I said hit the plug, I got a real. Haters tryna talk, you better speak up. Living with no problem, got my feet up. I got fan to feed, I tell them eat up. I got ammunition, you can hear me come. Soldier on a mission, you can hear me come. If you start to listen, you can hear me come. You can hear me.
Let me go off for a minute, write a verse with no conditions. It's like I see the future, so in time I'm reminiscing. And I ain't got the time for complaining about the game. I ain't got the time for not meaning what I say. If I said it, I meant it, ain't got no plans to regret it. Let them criticize the walk, cause it was never prosthetic. Man, if I'm walking with Olympus, cause it's real. The burden of the people is really something I feel. Let me heal. 10 toes down, I'm a soldier, this is war. It's the middle of the battle that's showing you who you are. So I smile for the struggle like a paparazzi picture. She a lion in the jungle, long as Bobby riding with her. I'm a Puerto Rican chick, out here riding for my city. Never worried how I live. I know God residing in me, man. The roads and the concrete Negroes. I let them know I take the struggle just to use it to grow. It's the bros.
Hear ye, hear ye. Hey, holla if you hear me. I can't have nobody fake near me. I can't have nobody fake near me. I got ammunition, you can hear me come. Soldier on a mission, you can hear me come. If you start to listen, you can hear me come. You can hear me come. I said hit the plug, I got a real. Hater tryna talk, you better speak up. Living with no problem, got my feet up. I got fan to feed, I tell them eat up. I got ammunition, you can hear me come. Soldier on a mission, you can hear me come. If you start to listen, you can hear me come. You can hear me come.
What is good, everybody? So you tuned in to the BS3 Sports Show, and like I said, we got a special guest. We got Q the Great. He's on so many podcasts. He's on his own network. The dude is grinding when it comes to podcasting, but part of the X Squad as well. But what's going on today? Yeah. Man, let me make sure I got your audio set up here correctly. So yeah, we are definitely go ahead and say something again to make sure we got you on right. So trying to use this new kind of setup here with but go ahead and say something again. All right, hold on. All right, we'll get it situated here in just a second. All right, say something again. Sorry. All right, we're man. I thought I had this all worked out. All right. All right, say something now.
Yo, can you hear me?
All right, yeah, there we go. I think we got the audio set up. Make sure everybody, if you can hear. So I'm using this system that KC uses where you can get multiple callers in on the same time. So we should be good. Make sure everybody, if you can't hear, say you can't hear, but I think we got it set up. But yeah, you cannot deal with this weather. And especially in Dallas, where it is right now, you never know what it's going to be. It could be raining one day, it could be sunny the next day. You don't know, and that's the crazy part of Texas. Everybody talk about the heat, but the weather part is so flip floppy. You never know what it's going to be.
Yeah, we do have some bipolar weather here in Texas, especially from where I'm from, Beaumont. Like it'll rain, and then all of a sudden it's scorching hot right afterwards. So.
Right.
That and the humidity will kill you. So
yeah, definitely. All right, so let's do some shout outs in the chat room. Appreciate everybody in here so far. Angry Black Man, he's always got some funny comments. We got Mocha Bella in the building, Big L always dropping through. LaDonna also in the building. Appreciate everybody in the chat. But I wanted to do this show because, we're trying to make sure we interact with each other. We do podcasts together, part of the X Squad. Also do different types. So I'm glad to get him on. He does a variety of different shows, and all of his shows are dope. He also does one in a studio here in Dallas. But I wanted to really give you opportunity just to share, kind of your background. Share where you came from, how you got started in the podcasting and everything.
all right. So it's actually interesting. So really, I started podcasting because I'm like a big Twitter troll. So I think I just took the opportunity to be like, well, if I can troll online, let me go ahead and just put it in verbiage and things like that. But no, it started in a little different ways. So first, I just wanted to do one, which was the Critical Dump podcast. My homie came up with the name of it, so I was like, all right, let's roll with it. But we started talking more of things like social commentary and things that was going on. And then from there, it was like, you know, I kind of wanted to talk a little bit more variety things. So I then made Choppin It Up with Q, which, if you ever check that out, like our topics, we talk about a little bit of everything, just want, you know, things that we feel need to be discussed, kind of put our opinion on it, joke about it, things like that. But it's really kind of I guess you could say kind of a learning show, or just kind of to look at other perspectives of certain things.
Yeah.
But I kind of just got into it just on a whim. It was just one day I said, hey, let's just do a podcast, and it's kind of how it started, really.
Yeah, and that's how kind of how it starts for a lot of people. For me, somebody was saying, hey, you should do your own podcast, and I was like, I don't think I can talk by myself, you know, for that long. My first one was probably like 30 minutes, and I was like reading off of a sheet of paper, basically, because I was so nervous. And I was like, people are going to hear this, and I don't know what I sound like, and I didn't have the best equipment. Sometimes still today, my equipment be kind of faulty, but most of the time it worked out. But yeah, I think I was talking to a guy today, man, podcasting is so free. Like, you can talk about whatever. There's no restrictions. There's nobody that's going to tell you. There's no program director or somebody that's going to say, you can't talk about that topic. You can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Yeah,
I think that's why a lot of people are moving more towards it, especially like things like sports talk, or, you know, things about going on out in the world. Because, you know, if you're on TV, you know, people pay the bills there, so you got to kind of just stay within a certain realm. It's like, all right, well, we're going to leave this off the table. Like you said, we can't talk about that, because if we do, somebody's going to be calling us talking about, hey, we pulling this sponsorship.
Right.
I mean, just look at what happened with the NFL, but that's a whole other story.
Right. Now, so you have the Critical Dump Network. How many shows are on that, and what is that exactly? Also, how did you come up with that name? First of all, let's start with that.
All right. First of all, you have to ask my homie, because my other co-owner, Eric DeVilla, he's the one that does Happy Politics. I don't know how he came up with the name. I guess it was one of those things, kind of a play on words. We're going to be critical about whatever's going on, and a dump is where you play something. So I don't know how he came up with it. I was just like, okay. I mean, when it comes to naming things, that's not my biggest forte. You can ask my co-host or Choppin It Up with QV. She named like half the episodes, because I'm like, hey man, what you want to call this one? So, but how it really started. So, like I said, we started with that first one, and then when we wanted to kind of you know, branch out and do a little bit more, it was like, okay, well, how do we do that without having to continue to pay like multiple SoundCloud subscriptions and things like that? So it was like, well, let's just turn it into a network type thing, where it's just a collective of us, and we have different podcast programming, or, you know, interests or subject matters and things like that. And I guess that's just kind of how it started and how it's kind of going. As of right now, it's about 4 podcasts. They got the 2 I participate in. Like I said, my friend, he has Happy Politics, and then they have another friend of ours, Gil B. He's in Cincinnati, and he has the Second Shift podcast, which he kind of does his on, you know, positivity and things like that. His is pretty dope too. So, you know, if y'all are into that, you know, things like that, you know, make sure to check them out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, check out everything. It's on Spreaker, so we all know where that is. This is what we use.
Yeah.
So everybody, make sure you go there. All right, so this is a sports show, obviously, but we're gonna talk some music today. We're gonna talk some sports today. We're gonna get into quite a few things. But you are a Tennessee Titans fan. You know, we talked about this before the podcast. You live in Dallas, and you're a Rockets fan. So I need you to share how that happened, and is there any way I can convert you to a Cowboys fan?
All right, so for anybody who don't know, I'm originally from Beaumont, Texas, which is like about an hour outside of Houston. When I was actually starting to watch sports at the time, the Rockets were, of course, you know, I was familiar with the Bulls and everything like that, but when I started actually watching, the Rockets were going for that two-peat, you know, was it 9-4 and 9-5 already, Lajuan all day. But that's when I really started getting into it. And then, you know, they're right up the street. So I was like, okay, let's